My name's Alan Solomon, and me and my wife Rebecca are renovating a row house here in the Bedford-Stuyvesant area of Brooklyn.
When I think of the Passivhaus, I think of, clean, healthy living. And
I think of rainbows.
Oh, you think of rain, and he thinks of rainbows.
Passivhaus is a design and construction methodology that was started in Germany in response actually to what Americans were doing in the United States in the 70s, where they were, during the energy crisis, there was this great interest in reducing energy costs in buildings. And for this house, what Passivhaus means is that we're reducing the total energy load by 75%, and we're reducing the heating load by 90%. The way we're doing that is we're using 2 to 3 times the amount of insulation that a normal house might. We're also taking very careful care to have a continuous air barrier, have really good windows, and have really good mechanical systems. So what we're doing is constantly bringing in fresh air through something called a heat exchanger, which is, the best possible occupant health.
Well, the project sort of evolved from different events. We live in the neighborhood and we were looking to buy a home. I was hoping to find a house that was a wood frame house. I work with wood salvage, so we bought the house. What we didn't realize at the time was just how much work was needed.
The building itself was is in as bad shape as a New York building as I've ever seen.
It was about that time we were selling wood to a couple of Passivhaus projects in the city, so I got a first-hand look at what was happening during the construction, and it was really interesting to see this relatively old approach in Europe start taking off here in Brooklyn.
So we see a lot of Passivhaus buildings happening in Brooklyn. It's a very active borough in the construction industry, and I guess there's maybe more enlightened people in Brooklyn, and more people experimenting and giving us an opportunity to show what we're able to do.
In Passivhaus, an important aspect of it is using the sun. In this case, this is our south facade. So first design decision is take these rather small openings and combine them. So you see this door here to this window, we're going to make one big cut to create all that area. So we'll have one 10 by 10 window, which will bring in all this low-lying winter sun. Same with the second and third floors. Sort of combine and take out all that space between the windows and bring in all this warm winter sun.
The light bulbs are heating the space and the sunlight.
Is it already in effect now?
Yeah.
The air sealing is already?
Well, the air sealings help. You're not insulated, but like when I stand near a light bulb, you can feel the heat all around it, or it's warmer up here because the door's not open. And you can feel it's warmer near the plastic windows that is not even clear.
Maybe we should scale back on the insulation now that we've already got there. No.
This is a beautiful house. It's making, we're working in a row of buildings. And so when we have a row of buildings, we have a lot of neighbors. And so we have all these party line walls that are against other warm buildings, adiabatic buildings. So they're warm. So we're not losing any energy or heat because all the adjacent buildings are warm. And so that's walls we don't have to insulate. And then we can just focus on the front and the back and the roof, and that's where we focus all our insulation and our little extra cost.
This continuous insulation is creating what we call a thermal break, so that there's no short circuits for cold air to get through. Outside of that, we have our weather resistive barrier, keeping the water off. And then sort of unique to this project outside of Passivhaus, Alan works in reclaimed wood. So we will be reclaiming wood and sort of celebrating that by this sort of modern facade we'll have these vertical slats of this reclaimed hardwood for exterior use, sort of spanning this facade.
Decided to use a fire treatment process on the wood for the front exterior that they call shosugiban, and it's a Japanese term. It means charred cedar wood. And Japanese carpenters stumbled upon this idea of charring the wood in order to increase weather resistance in the 1700s. What's exciting here is that through the shosugiban process, you sort of elevate the performance of an already decently performing wood. And a way to also explore and experiment with reclaimed woods is one of the raw materials for the Passivhaus project.
We don't need to expend that much energy, and we've been doing energy conservation buildings for the past 20 or 30 years, and when we discovered Passivhaus, it's just like these people get it, and it's a beautiful energy calculation and energy model, and we're finding it's realistic, that you're going to use X amount of energy per square foot of building, and that's what we find to be beautiful.